So it looks like we're here again this Monday morning to share with you another contemplation from the Synchronicity Sanctuary here in Central Virginia. And this week, this Monday, what I'm sharing is a contemplation that goes like this: being as one, unified consciousness, and the source point. Wisely and slow, they stumble that run fast. A quote from Shakespeare out of Romeo and Juliet. Life is the path to the actualized experience of oneness. So what does all this mean? Simply put, and drawing from my own experience, I'm sitting here in front of the microphone, and hopefully there's good sound, and sharing this contemplation with you, and simultaneous to that, what I'm experiencing is a reverberation of the source point in the interior of my being. It is palpable, it is consistent, it is strong, it entrains whole brain synchrony and expands my awareness to something that is dominant within me at this moment and in my life at this time because of years of meditation and years of meditation and practicing contemplation such as this, and moving myself as fast as I could to the level of awareness that exists within me now. So, in the beginning, of course, we start off as a separated individual, totally dependent on our parents for survival. We don't know nothing. We come into a world and we are taught, we are enculturated into the culture we're born into. We're enculturated by our peer groups, our schools. If we have a religion, we're enculturated into that. So we gather all this information as if it was a definitive information base that we define ourselves from. So we build on this because that's what the people who are enculturating us are doing. Our teachers, our parents, everyone has an identity that they consistently share. First, it's like there's mother, there's father, there's teacher, there's this authority, there's that authority. And there's this person who does this, so that's what they are. And there's that person who does something else, so that's what they are. And we gather all these definitions and form the habit of applying such fragmented and limiting data to ourselves. So we compare ourselves constantly. Of course, as children, we're very insignificant in our minds because there's still so many things we can't do, and we still depend on our parents and our teachers and our peer group to assist us and to help us out with life itself. So in the beginning, we start off with this unconscious identity process that happens, and then we reach a certain point of our life when we start to go through kind of like a rebellion against all of this, and we want to start walking on our own 2 feet. We want to break loose of that dependence, and this is a very significant part of life where we have the opportunity to start questioning life, questioning the definitions that we have formed about ourselves and who we are, and the definitions that we formed about all the people in our life. And if we are fortunate enough to run across a holistic teacher, we might take that as a direction early in life. For myself, that did not happen. I had a few good teachers when I was young that did teach me how to question myself, which I learned, and it seemed like a natural process, and I liked that process. And it taught me early on that there was just a lot of things about life that I simply did not know. And that was key to my development, because as long as I admitted to myself for my own self-examinations that I really didn't know the fundamentals of life, where I came from, what I was doing here, and what life was all about. What I did know was that no matter what I did, no matter how successful I might be at any given moment, there was never a feeling of total satisfaction and fulfillment. I was empty of that. And so that kept the dialogue going about I don't know, how can I know, and where can I look? And so, of course, I looked, the only places I knew how to look and where to look were people with some credentials in terms of life. I remember I used to read Carl Jung was one of the last non-holistic uh, people. He wasn't in that genre way back when I first started reading him, but he was sort of had one foot in both worlds, the academic and the holistic. But there was something about his writings that were more spiritually oriented, and I liked what he said, but still it didn't change my experience. They were great concepts, but there was nothing there that would teach me how to incorporate those concepts in a way that they could become my experience. And so I went on and on for many, many years, kind of going in and out of this search when I wasn't totally busy just surviving and dealing with life as it was unfolding for me. And these moments when I could be more contemplative, that always came back to me. What is real here? And the only answer that I could ever come up with year after year was, I don't know. And so I finally came across a book back in the 70s, The Only Dance There Is by Ram Dass. And I had been briefly introduced to spiritual teachers prior to this, but this end of the circumstances and where I was in my own development, even though I liked what I was reading, it didn't lead to any breakthroughs for me, So, but when I read this book, for whatever reasons, it was timed just perfectly. That's when I had my awakening experience after reading some of Ram Dass's book, and then I was in a contemplative exercise, just going over some of the things I read in his book and allowing myself to see if an answer to my questions would arise without really realizing that's what I was doing. And the answer came in ways that are beyond description. And that's when I had my awakening experience, and I had an experiential validation both of myself and of life and of meaning and so forth. But I did not have a full understanding by any means at all. My experience said, yes, there's a lot more to life than meets the eye, and you are a lot more than what you think you are. So now what are you going to do? And after that, after my world was rocked by that experience, I, of course, started to read books about holistic lifestyle, and I started changing my diet. I started exercising. I was orienting myself towards a healthier existence. I started to experiment with meditation to see if I couldn't develop more insights and hopefully more experiences like my awakening experiences, because it was so blissful, so perfectly satisfying to everything that my life could possibly want. And of course, they never delivered that experience again, but they did help here and there. I would have some breakthrough. I would have some experience that would take me beyond my mind and into an energetic experience, and sometimes this was phenomenal. I would have visions. Sometimes it was numinal. I would just have not anything I could see or define through the senses, but yet there was something very expansive happening in my awareness. And this was hit and miss, hit and miss. It was like year after year when I was bouncing around between trying to find a meditation system that would work for me. And by work, I mean something that would open my eyes and answer the questions that I had been pursuing all my life. What is it all about? So I did this for many, many years, and I finally decided to take a sabbatical, and I did. I stopped formally meditating for about 10 years because the integrative process that I understand today, I was not aware of at that time. I had no understanding of how that was actually a good thing, and that was telling me that what I was doing was working, because I interpreted it at that time as, well, if I'm feeling so high in 1 minute, I'm expanded and I'm having these great visions, and then after that I'm in emotional upheaval, I must be doing something wrong. And I made these silly assumptions because I didn't have a comprehensive teaching system that could inform me about the process of integrating my experience step by step as it kept growing from conceptual to experiential. And it was at that time that I discovered synchronicity and high-tech meditation. And the moment I tried high-tech meditation, I knew that that was the one I wanted. I had one of the deepest meditations that I'd ever had the first time I listened to a soundtrack that entrained my mind into the pattern of meditation, and it developed whole brain synchrony, and it held me there for an extended period of time. And when I experienced that efficiency in a meditation system, that was it. I was sold. It was so easy to meditate after that. That wasn't that I wasn't challenged by the results of meditation, because I was getting more results because my meditations were going deeper. They were more consistent, and they were more powerful, which is another reason why I still use that same technology today, because it just keeps me going and going and going, developing and getting more and more expanded and more aware and more blissful. So why would I want anything else? So that's basically it. This being as one unified consciousness and the source point is really pointing to the experience of your internal polarity of being, as opposed to the external polarity of doing, where all your definitions came into play. I have this job, so I'm this person. I have a family, so I'm a family man. All these little ways that we define who we are and what life is for ourselves from the mind. But their experience, of course, in the world of doing. But in all that doing and all that running around trying to attach yourselves to different definitions, there's still no actual fulfillment in that. You're just busy and you're struggling with life like everybody else, or you think you are anyway. So the being, the internal polarity, the positive polarity, is what develops through the practice of meditation and through the holistic lifestyle that brings the results of meditation into your life, where you contemplate through your day, where you keep a focus on who you are beyond what you know. And that's why I said life is the path to the actualized experience of oneness. And when you are ready for that experience, that's exactly what it is. When you're not ready for that experience, that's still what it is. In the cycles of what we call the creation game, where you are first moving to the fulfillment of who you are not, and then once fulfilled, you cross that bridge and you start moving back to the remembrance of who you truly are. So this is where meditation comes into your life, and a teacher of some kind or some sort will authentically help you out to bring you to the fullness of your being. And in that, your life will actualize the experience of oneness, that reverberation that carries with it the blissful energetic that overwhelms the mind and disempowers the mind. Doesn't destroy it by any means. it's still going to work, and it's work even better because then you're going to have more whole brain synchrony available to yourself when you do use your mind. Although sometimes I wonder about that in myself at my age, but this is all true. I am so much more fulfilled in every moment today than I ever realized it was possible before. And that's simply because I found what worked, I stayed with it, and I grew through it. So that's what I wanted to share with you today, and I hope you are having a similar experience for yourself. If you're not, try out the high-tech meditation that we have to offer. It works. I know it works, and I would love it if you don't know it, for you to try it out and see for yourself. So that's it for today. Thank you for listening. I will be back again next Monday with another contemplation to share with you.